Alright, so hopefully my camera is not going to overheat, but anyways, I'm going to show how to open up and disassemble to replace the screen on this 13-inch MacBook Pro model A1278, I believe. This is a mid-2010. So first what you want to do is just remove all the screws from the bottom. So this you'll use a PH0. The 3 on the back here towards the hinge are longer, so don't mix them up. And then you got another one screw here, 2 on the sides, and then 4 on the bottom. Once you remove all the screws, you'll just grab from the back here and then pull the cover up. Alright, set that aside. Alright, so I guess we'll open it up and then go over the components. So there's the hard drive cable here, if you want. So first thing you want to do is disconnect the battery, of course, and then open it up and hold the power button down for about 15 seconds just to drain any power. Especially if you're changing anything with the screen, this is very important. Okay, so just hold the power button down. Alright, once you do that, then you can go ahead and start going into the computer. So if you're curious to change the hard drive, this is how you would get to the hard drive to change it out, like to an SSD. So you take those 2 screws out, you can pull off this bracket, then you have this tab. If you don't have the tab, you kind of just have to lift up the hard drive like this, and then there's this the SATA connector, so just pull this out just like this. I use my fingernails along the edge just like that, and then I kind of make sure not to yank it too hard because the cable is stuck here. There are some screws here. These are using, I believe they're T6. Let me double check. So these are, yeah, T6 screws. So you will need a T6 screwdriver bit to remove these 4 mounts to attach them to the new hard drive. So these are important because if you don't put it, the hard drive can just move up and down, and that will wear out this cable. Alright, so even though you don't need to have vibration dampening for the SSD, this will kind of keep the hard drive from moving around. Another way you can do it, if you don't want to remove these metal things or you don't have the tools, you can just put like some tissue or something on top, so that way when you close it, or like foam, it'll push the drive and keep it from moving around. Okay, so that's how you remove the hard drive. You can peel this off, it's just double stick adhesive, and then you can stick it to the new drive. I'm going to leave it there. But yeah, this cable is replaceable. There's 2 screws holding this part down and then 2 screws holding this. There's a little tricky part with the cable down here, that it's for the hard drive LED. I mean, technically you don't need that for the computer to work, but it does help let you know that the hard drive is actually on and doing something. Okay, then you got the battery. If you wanted to replace it, that uses a I don't know what they call it. I think it's called a tri-wing screwdriver, so it's the triangle shaped one. So there's 2 screws holding the thing in place. They are different size, but once you remove those, you want to peel up this sticker here as well slightly, and then you can pull the battery out. I'm going to leave it in there though. Then you also got the RAM. So the RAM here is PC3 8500S. So if you need to replace the RAM, that's what you would use. Okay, the hard drive connector, actually let me see if I can zoom in. Oh man, my phone is already getting hot. I'm going to unplug the charger. Hopefully that will keep it from overheating. But anyways, you got the hard drive connector. All these connectors, you just get your fingernail or a plastic pry tool underneath, and then you can pop it up just like that. Don't stick the tool too far because you don't want to pry this connector off the board. Okay, so you got the hard drive connector, you got this CD drive optical drive connector, you got the trackpad connector, you got the keyboard connector here. To remove that, you flip up this latch and then you can pull the cable out. It's kind of a pain to put back, so I don't want to take it out. And underneath this black plastic tape thing, there's another connector just like this for the keyboard backlight. Okay, I'm getting a call, so I might have to pause this and take that. Give me a second, I'll be back. Okay, never mind, the call got messed up. But anyways, so as for the screen, oh yeah, then you also got this cable here. I think this is for the battery reader connector. So there's the, oops, sorry. So you got this cable here. This is for the battery reader. So it pops up just like the other ones, and that's for that little button on the side that tells you how much battery is left. Okay, let me see. Then you got the LCD connector. This one, there's a metal bracket. Let me see if I can show this. So, oops. Okay, so you got the metal bracket here. You lift this up. You can either lift this plastic tab here and then pull it up like this. But I use my fingernail on the metal bracket to do it like that. Then once you do that, you can grab the metal bracket and then just pull it back just like this. Okay, so we are going to have to remove several little of these brackets. This connector here for the camera, oops. Okay, so hopefully you can see, there's this little black plastic piece. You have to take it off. That's sticking to prevent this cable from getting pulled back too easily. But once you do that, this cable, it just pulls outwards. It might be a little bit to pull this cable out. You kind of have to wiggle it a little bit while you pull it. So just keep wiggling it. If you can't do that, you can use like a small tool. I would recommend not using something like metal like this if you're not careful. But basically you pull the wings back like this. If you have like a plastic toothpick or something, you can use that, but that's how you would pull that cable out, okay? Then you got this connector here. So this connector, you want to get as close with your fingernail underneath. So as you can see, I'm sliding my fingernail all the way to the connector, and then you kind of pry it up, okay? Just like that. So the connector comes out like this, and it just basically pops back in place. You just push it back down. All right, so now that we got that out, let's go to removing the hinges that are holding it in place. So it might be difficult to show this on camera. Let me see if I stay kind of zoomed in a little bit. Okay, so this you're gonna have to use the PH0 screwdriver. So just remove the screws. Don't mix them up because they are all different sizes, shapes, lengths. So you want to make sure the screws are kind of kept in order. Alright, so remove that one screw, then you got the one screw up here. This is for, I believe, like a subwoofer speaker. Okay, so remove that, and then you should be able to, I think that was, yeah, you can lift this whole thing up. You will want to thread this cable out. You want to remove this so it's stuck on that piece, and then you thread it out from the side here. Alright, this speaker stays attached here, so don't yank on this whole speaker out. Okay, you just want to move it out of the way. All right, then you want to remove the two black screws on this metal bracket. Okay, so there's one here. Again, keep the screws in order. You don't want to get them all mixed up. All right, and there's one screw there. All right, once you remove those two screws, you can lift out this metal bracket just like this, and then you can set it out of the way. Okay, underneath you'll see the hinge. There's 3 screws, and there's this pad kind of covering some of the screws. So if you want, you can actually take this pad out. It's kind of, the adhesive is old, so it's kind of stuck, but there you go. Just like that. For that, I believe it's still a T8, just like on the newer ones. So I'm gonna just lightly loosen the screws, okay? You don't want to completely take them out yet. Alright, and then we want to go to the other side, the other hinge. So here we got the other hinge, and then you want to take the screws out from here as well. Okay, so there's one screw. Is that a, yeah? Okay, so there's one screw down here. Okay. All right. Again, these are different size, different lengths, so you don't want to mix them up. And then there's one over here, kind of hiding behind the LCD cable. Okay. So once you get all those screws out, then you can lift this bracket out as well. Okay, so this little silver piece you just leave on there with the screw. Okay, all right, now you can move these cables aside, and you can see the screws on this side as well. So switch back to the T8 screw, loosen it a little bit. Okay, once you do that, you want to open the screen all the way. Okay, so let me see if I can show this. So open the screen all the way. All right, this one has a whole bunch of stickers on it, but yeah, open the screen all the way, and then hang the screen off your desk, and then use that so that you can take these screws out. Okay, usually for the hinge screws, I like to add thread locker to keep the screws from coming out. I'll use red thread locker. The screws already have blue thread locker on them, but I find the blue thread locker sometimes comes loose, so I like to use the red stuff. Okay, so we'll just take all these screws out. Just like that. Okay. Alright, once you got all those screws out, then you can lift the screen out, okay? Just like that. Then we grab the replacement screen. Okay, it's hard to find good replacements of these screens now, so you'll usually end up with like a used one or something. So just keep that in mind. Alright. This one has a screw in it. I'm going to take that screw out. Okay, so anyways, you put the thing back up like this. Oh, and if you're wondering, actually, never mind. I forgot where the wireless card in this model is. I think it might be in the screen in here. Okay, so anyways, we'll put the new screen in, just like this. Alright, hopefully this is the right model. The hinges are different, I think. If the hinges aren't open all the way, you'll have to use the screwdriver. Just insert it through the hinge and then twist it, just like this. Hopefully you can see. And twist the hinge up. So it's kind of having a difficult time. So I had to do that. Alright, now we'll put the screen back in. Just like that. Hold the screen up again. And then usually what I'll do is I'll put the screws in, but kind of loosely, not too tight, because I will have to take them back out. So just tighten it until it kind of doesn't spin easily. And then what we're going to have to do is close the screen, okay? And then we have to make sure that the screen is lined up properly. So just like this. Okay. That. The cat's here. Alright, once you get all the screws in, just close the screen slowly, just in case it gets caught in anything. You don't want to rush close it quickly. Alright, so now that you got the screen closed all the way, undo the screws so that they're kind of loose. Okay, just like this. And once you do that, you want to line up the screen. So I use my fingers like on the corners like this to kind of make sure that the screen is lined up properly. Okay, and once I got all of that done, then I'll take the thread locker and then I will add the thread locker to the screws and then tighten them in place properly. Okay, so you don't want to do this over the computer because it might drip. So just do that, add a little bit to the screw, and then tighten the screw down. Alright, tighten it all the way. Just like that. Make sure that you don't mess up the alignment of the screen. To keep that from happening, you can leave one screw on each side tightened down completely. And then that'll prevent it from moving around. Alright, so add the thread locker. Tighten it up. Just like that. Other screw. The thread locker. Tighten it up. Okay, make sure it's really tight. You don't want the screen to move around because that can cause the hinge to get damaged. Okay. Tighten it up well. Alright, and you want to make sure to put the metal brackets back before you plug the things in, because you won't have enough slack. It's going to be like difficult to put the screws back. Let me see. Haven't worked on one of these models in a while, so yeah. But tighten that down. Right, now that you got all 6 of those screws tightened down, flip the thing back around. Alright, get the screen connector cable back in place. You want the pins of this, I don't know if you can see it, sorry. But you want the pins of this cable to be on top. You don't want the other side where it's just the black plastic. Okay, sorry, it's shaking around. All right, so now we'll grab this bracket and put it back in. You'll notice that the silver thing aligns with the little groove down there, so just make sure it lines up. We're done with the T8 bit, so switch back to the PH0. Okay. And then we'll put this, it has the longer, smaller top screw here. Okay, usually I'll just loosely tighten it. And then this one has a shorter, wider top screw that goes here. Alright, and then just tighten them down once you get both of them in. Okay. Now that you got that, you can connect the cable. So just make sure to hold this metal piece up, line it up, don't use too much force. Make sure that the two side wing things go in first. Once it's in properly, then you can pull on it with kind of a little bit more force, okay? After you do that, just put this metal bracket back down. Make sure it clips back in place, okay? It should be like holding it, that it won't flip over easily. Okay, and then make sure this foam pad is down on top. There you go. Now we get this bracket. If you want, you can put this, the foam piece back on there. Okay, so just put the foam in there. It's not really important. It's supposed to keep the screws from spinning around and coming back out, but since we did the other thing first with the Loctite or the thread locker, then it's okay, it won't happen. All right, so now we'll put this bracket back in there. So you have, so you have the silver piece, sorry if it's out of view. So you have the silver piece just like the other one. Okay, this one has a little thing sticking out that goes on top where the screw goes. Okay, so just like this. Take the one screw, put it loosely again. Take the other screw. Usually it has this little fabric-y piece that you kind of thread it through. That's kind of just to help hold it in place a little bit. And then twist the screw in as well. Tighten it up good. Alright, hopefully my phone's not going to overheat. I'm almost done. Get the cable routed through here just like before. Put the cable this way. Alright, plug this connector back in. Hopefully you can see. Here we go. So plug this connector back in. Okay. So it goes up here. And then use the wings to kind of help pull it. You can use the foam pad as well, but I like to use my fingernail to pull the wings down. Okay. And once you do that, you'll see that the gap here is closed, so you know that it's plugged in all the way. Once you get that plugged in all the way, make sure that this goes around the optical drive, okay? And then you can push it down, grab the screws. Hopefully you can actually see what I'm doing. Put the shorter screw in this hole, and then the longer screw over here. Okay, make sure it's going in properly. You don't want to damage the cable, so this cable's kind of in the way. Make sure you're not putting the screw through the cable, otherwise your screen won't work properly. Okay, just like that. Tighten it down. Tighten the other side down. Alright, then we just reattach this cable, line it up, make sure it's lined up properly. I don't know if you can actually see what I'm doing, but I'm tilting it so I can kind of see where it's going because the foam is kind of in the way, and then you just push it back down. Okay, so now we got all these things connected. Make sure the batteries last. Don't forget this little plastic piece. It's not too important, but it helps keep this piece in place. So just stick that down. Okay, the adhesive isn't as strong anymore. And once you got all of that, you can push back in the battery connector. So just push the battery connector back in. grab the cover, put the cover back on. I didn't show how to remove the motherboard. Hopefully nobody needs to do that, but there's a whole bunch of screws. There's these, and there's a tricky part underneath here. There's the rubber cover with the microphone. You have to pop out that microphone to pull out the motherboard, otherwise it'll yank on the speakers below. But anyways, that's all I'm going to show for this, because the main thing was just to change the screen. So let's make sure that the screen turns on. So usually what I like to do is a SMC and PRAM reset. So SMC reset is Control, Option, Shift on the left side, and the power button. Usually you do this while it's plugged in. If the battery's not fully charged, you'll see that the light will go from orange to green, and then it'll turn back orange. And then once it's done, you can do the PRAM reset. So press the power button, and then press and hold the command option, P and R. Okay, you'll hear the CD drive go, the screen will turn on, and then the screen will reset. Then you let go, and then the screen should come back on a second time. So there you go, the screen will come on, the volume will be set back to the maximum, and here you can see that it's working perfectly fine. Okay, so that's all there is to this. Hopefully this video helped you. If it did, please like and subscribe, because that'll help others find this video. This is a pretty old model, so I don't know if anyone's still working on these, but yeah, hopefully this helped again. And yeah, so like, subscribe, hit the bell maybe if you're interested in learning more about how to take apart computers, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye.